Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Thorns of War by Black Cross and Taylor. They are the makers of, you may remember the game Rose of Segunda. This is a direct sequel to that game. Unfortunately, I could not contact the developer. I don't have a way to contact the devs, unfortunately. I can't find them on Twitter, so I can't contact them to see if it's okay to play the game. So, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to play the game. Sorry that one person wanted me to play the game. Figured I'd tell you right now. But this is the sequel currently in development. It's on hiatus right now. While they're focusing on two other games. They're waiting for the sales of those games to hopefully finish this game up. But for now, we can play the sequel. Let's just look at the preferences. Volume seems all right. That seems okay. There's no return. Okay. Start the game. Just get right into it, shall we? Please note this game is the sequel to Rose of Segunda. It is not necessary to have played the previous game, though it is recommended. Please type. Oh, what did we name ourselves in the last game, or did we get to name ourselves? Oh boy. Oh, what should we be? Um. Oh boy, I don't know. We'll be. Oh yeah, we'll be Holly. Yeah, that's our go-to female name, Holly. Oh, Holly. Now please select your traits. I think we're scholarly. We could be roguish or slovenly. Let's do scholarly. Cunning, witty, or diplomatic. I think we'll be more witty. Commanding, strong, or lecherous. Ooh. I think Holly's really a commander, or really kind of, someone to boss people around. Maybe strong? Quite the personality. Now, with whom did you end the first game? Well, no one technically, because I didn't actually finish. Who did we want though? Hmm. We could pick no one. I assume this directly ties into the route in the first game, which I didn't play any of, unfortunately. I didn't play far enough. Thank you. And lastly, who did King Augusta wanted to become king? Me? Yeah, of course. It's always me. Thank you. Your history's not complete. Please enjoy the game. It's like a Mass Effect kind of thing where it's like, you play the, your choices will help you shape the game even if you didn't actually play the first game. It's early in the evening, but the lamps of the room have plunged the gardens beyond the windows into deepest night. I'm seated at the card table in the West Wing sitting room, my afternoon idled away in drawing while I hide from the bustle that agitates the rest of the house. Mother had very firm plans that we would leave for Garllucio this morning. My brother is reclined on the sofa behind me, suffering the last throes of a hangover that had seen him bedridden until noon. The last act of pointless rebellion, but then that is Frederick. It will take us 3 days to reach the city, and though I have every expectation to be back at our estate within a few weeks, I am unsure of the world to which I will be returning. War is brewing. Some even say it is inevitable. Certainly seems so from my trips out to the nearby towns of our province. The somber way the townsfolk huddle in small knots, distrustful of both neighbors and strangers, whispers surging to the occasional quarrel regarding which side the Parisi with put Florentia in this conflict, and how every man of rank carries a sword at his hip as though he expects to be summoned to the service of his house at any moment. All wars are terrible, but a civil war has its own horrors. I wonder how Prince Guillemine is feeling right now, watching his country being torn apart, and I think back to all those who I met at a celebration that now seems like a lifetime ago. Mother was beyond angry when she discovered my flight from the palace, despite the king's desire to see me wed. Once we returned from our jaunt about Tivoli and Parva, I was confined to the house while poor Frederick was packed off back to university. If I had known then what would come, would I have behaved any differently? I'm still unsure. Though the seeds of this conflict were sown in ages ago, perhaps it could still have been avoided had it not been for the blow that was struck last autumn with the death of Seneschal Corin. Mother had forgiven me enough by that point to begin training me in some of her many duties running our province, and I recall clearly that day we received the letter from court. The way she paled, her wizened lips momentarily smoothed, pressed, as they were, into a thin, firm line. Trouble was coming. We did not have to wait for long. Without the steadying hand of his trusted seneschal, King Augustine's behavior grew only more tyrannical. If the king is an iron fist, then Corin had been the velvet glove, and it was sure enough that we were all left smarting in his absence. Enter. One of the maids steps lightly into the room carrying a tray. Good evening, my lady. Master Bastian thought you might be wanting some refreshments. Thank you, Violet. He takes the tray from her with a smile, the girl bobbing a curtsy and tripping out to close the door behind her. Ashton has already crossed the room to place the tray upon the table, the cups set out and tea poured with neat, certain movements. I would have thought that the steward of House di Parisi would have had more to worry about than serving tea. I note the brief smile at his mention of his title, his pride tempered with a flicker of a regret as he no doubt considers the circumstances of his confinement. Master Bertrand suffered another stroke late last summer and died but a few days ago. It was hard on all of us, Bastian especially, though his grief seemed put aside for more earthly concerns as he took on his father's position and threw himself into his new duties as steward. I wonder how he feels about it now. Seems a little late to ask. Usually I would have to agree, my lady, though since this is a matter of life and death, he glances pointedly to the sofa. How does the patient? He comes and goes. I'm not sure he'll make it. I raise my handkerchief to stifle a hearty sob from the sofa, that deathly groan. Oh, you two are complete rotters. You know how I suffer. Yes, and I also know it is entirely self-inflicted. And that you've been imposing your illness on your good sister all day, thereby imposing Mother's ill humor on everyone else. You know she wanted to leave for Garllucio this morning. And she could have. I see no reason why we must all travel together, or indeed why you and I must attend at all. It's bad enough that I've been sent back home. All this talk of wars riling everyone up. A few idiots get into a couple of stupid duels, and suddenly the whole university decides to close until this has all been resolved. We settle at the table, my brother still grumbling to himself as Bastian passes out the steaming cups. I know you dislike to be involved in the affairs of court, but you have to understand that this is a matter no house, especially one as prominent as the Parisi, can afford to ignore. You must see that. I say that the king has gone mad. His talk of war is recent, but ever since Corin died, he's been throwing his weight around. My friend, Pierre's family was fined 400 crowns for failing to maintain a local lighthouse that hasn't been used for the last 50 years. It has been the same everywhere for over a year now. Even the most minor of infractions, mining and felling disputes, poor road upkeep, missed militia inspections, are all punished with hefty fines. Just be thankful his family could pay those who cannot have the equivalent taken from their holdings. Some of the smaller houses have been left with little more than their land their home sits on. For what does Augustine even need all this land? Well, nothing. I imagine he takes it merely to prove he can. Afterwards, he divides it among the houses he still deems loyal. No warned mother was overjoyed by that turn of events. Let me guess, Valencia now encompasses half of Segunda. You will be surprised to hear the Duchess has managed to avoid all such rewards so far. I'm sorry there's no music in the game. For some reason there is no music. I don't know if that's the game or maybe something didn't work when I unzipped the file, but yeah, I'm sorry, there's no music. She refused a gift from the king? To accept would only garner the resentment of that growing number of disgraced houses. Houses that may not always be so downtrodden. You may not like Mother, Frederick, but from the few times I have witnessed her as court, there's no one as skilled as such at manipulations. I once watched her refuse the king on the grounds that the priests are already so loyal that we need no encouragement, and then direct his generosity to a house that has long been a rival of ours. I should have known she could turn it to our advantage. I suppose that's why she spent all her time in court, even before this disaster. Bastian and I share a worried glance. It seems life at the university has sheltered my brother somewhat. Frederick, Mother has spent all of her time at the court because that was what the king demanded. All houses were to have a representative based at the king's current residence at all times. All the time? Yes, as I understand it, she only managed to secure a week's leave now in order to oversee our move to Garllucio. As you can imagine, such an edict only compounded matters for the smaller houses. You would risk sending someone inexperienced to court in such turbulent times. So the head of the house would attend the king, but then that forced them to delegate the running of their estates to family members or stewards. Hence more minor infractions. Wait, does that mean the pair of you have been running the province alone all this time? Well, yes, Mother's been training me to stand in her for a while now. Perhaps she thinks I'll never find a match now. And Bastian has always been invaluable to this house. Bastian inclines his head in shy acceptance of this praise. My lady. Francois and father helped for a time, and as you know, they left in the autumn, and Mother would give no clue to destination. My sister, the next Duchess di Parisi, and here I was about to suggest we abscond together on another jaunt. Are you enjoying your new responsibilities? I am. It is interesting reading the monthly reports and learning more about Florentia from the many barons and baronets who manage our lands. And I've had much more chance to travel and actually see our province now. Mother isn't the one attending all the social engagements. My brother just sighs and shakes his head. As much as you're enjoying the new freedoms, it isn't right that you and Bastian must run our province alone. The Council of Houses should have stepped in last year when this all began. That is what they're supposed to be there for, is it not? To limit the king's power? Yes, well, you are hardly the first person to say as much, are you? The conversation lulls at this grim turn, and we each retreat to our teacups. Matters could not continue as they were. By this summer just past, there were noticeable grumblings from the minor houses, and those still close to the king were trying desperately to temper his behavior. And perhaps a new equilibrium would have been found eventually had it not been for the sudden and vocal demands for the Council of Houses to intervene from a certain disgraced duke. Leopold Stavizzi had made his move. He called for the king to be deposed, claiming his tyranny was a danger to all Segunda, and presented his own house as proof, crushed underfoot by Augusta and his jealous paranoia decades before. His father, King Domine II, had been the same. No doubt his son, Guillaume, would continue this tradition. The Royal House of Vilquine was an ongoing lineage of tyrants who ruled by fear and subjugation as they needed to be stopped. The council needed to elect a new king. He humbly volunteered himself for the role. The council debated. The king threatened to crush them. It did not help his case. Neither did the rumors that House Stavizzi had secured an army of mercenaries from Garda and the Vars. No longer did the king have the advantage of force to quell any dissent. It seemed the only path left were diplomacy or war. For a month, the Council of Houses argued with little sign of progress. King Augusta began to marshal his forces, and just when war looked imminent, King Ulstiff of Alvardia made his offer. Segunda has always enjoyed strong ties to our southern neighbor. We have treaties of both alliance and trade. Ulstiff was concerned the civil war would disrupt the flow of goods which passed through Segunda en route to his own lands, not to mention worries Augusta may have rights to press him for military aid as well. He thereby proposed, as a neutral party, to arrange talks between the two factions to be held at the Alvardian embassy in Garllucio. Both sides agreed, and negotiations are set to commence on the first day of the Luna, about a week from now. At my side, Frederick sighs again and sets down his cup. And now there are to be peace talks? You're not telling me that Ulstiff doesn't have some angle here, too, for all his claims of altruism. Undoubtedly, and all the more reason for the Duchess to attend and ensure the negotiations develop in our favor. Yes, I know, but I still don't see why Holly and I must go. You must go because I have need of you. For all of his vinous suffering, my brother looks truly ill now. Our mother sweeps into the room as suddenly as a summer storm and just as tempestuous. Mother! And if I have need of you, it means this house has need of you, and for once in your life you will do as you are bid. Yes, Mother. She sinks into the suddenly vacated seat, Bastian already on his feet and serving her tea, while my brother shrinks under her hawkish gaze. My heart twists with its usual sisterly sympathies. Perhaps a distraction will help. I understand that we must attend, Mother, but I'm still unsure as to why. Neither Frederick or I are in good standing with the king, and we have few connections with those involved in the peace talks. Mother turns her gaze upon me, and I am relieved when it softens slightly. Ostensibly, we attend as a family to show support for the king, Augusta has relied upon the alliance of House Parisi both within the Council of Houses and on a less formal basis since the days of his father's rule, bringing my two available children, despite their obvious ineptitude, while leaving our estate in the care of our only steward will prove our commitment to his alliance. A small smile graces her mouth. For all her demands for duty and pride, she was never one to take pleasure in our house's standing. Perhaps she was too concerned with clinging to it. But now, when our world is in turmoil and all about her people grasp for stability, my mother is in her element, navigating the uncertainty with grace and cunning. However, while we are in attendance, we will also use our proximity to the very heart of these negotiations to predict and perhaps even influence the result, whatever that will entail. And with a father and Francois, they have already been dispatched with the king's approval to garner support from outside Segunda in case these peace talks fail. However, the aid they find will be very much dependent on the state of things here. If I believe the king will be triumphant, your father will arrive with news of reinforcements, just in time to be the difference. If, however, it appears that Duke Stavizzi will be the victor, your father will inexplicably delay his return, and we can shift our allegiance at the last moment. Frederick almost chokes on his surprise. Surely Leopold would realize you were just stalling for time. Well, of course, the Duke is many things, but he is not a fool. But he also understands that nothing is truly assured in these matters until one's back is against the throne, and the support of a house as old and powerful and venerated as ours will be of great help, not only in securing the crown, but also in keeping it. Mother sits back in her chair to survey us with the grave air of a general. In times such as these, nothing is safe. On the basis their alliances, minor nobles can rise to heights hitherto unforeseen, and once great houses can be wiped from the face of history itself. The Parisi will not meet their end here. We need to ensure we ally with the victor in this conflict, and for that we must all do our part. Frederick, your years of frivolous gallivanting will finally bear fruit. Almost all the noble houses will be sending representatives to Garllucio. Many of the minor ones do not even have a role in the talks. They will merely be hoping to hear rumors of the result before their rivals, that they may better secure their own positions, whatever the outcome. Speaking to those who number among your companions and befriend those who are yet unknown to you, I will provide a budget for you to arrange diversions within the city. Finding out what their families plan, who will cling to neutrality, who will support the king, and who will fall behind the duke. We need to know everything. Holly, you will attend me at the embassy and will gauge how the land lies. As an unattached woman with your own unique charms, I have no doubt I can deploy you somewhere. Well, fine, but if I'm to be playing the part of a merry socialite, can at least some of it be outdoors? I am not one for endless balls and tea parties. You will attend what is most beneficial to this house, and I will brook no arguments. That the prince is still unattached after your rejection has been noted. Some say he is still too hurt to seek another bride. I sincerely doubt he was left heartbroken by the whole thing. He's likely just using it as an excuse to avoid any further talk of marriage. Well, it is working for him, much to our detriment. I have been reminded more than once that it was my daughter who left him so distraught. The king was extremely displeased at the time, and it took much diplomacy on my part to smooth over the transgression. That said, there is a certain allure that comes with being the young woman who refused the hand of a prince. Be sure to use it. Besides, with how things have progressed since, it is better we are not allied too closely to the royal house. At least this way we have more freedom in how we proceed. As mentioned, Bastian, you will remain here and run the matters in our absence. I need not tell you the faith I have in you to leave solely with this duty. I know it is in good hands. Of course, my lady. The coming weeks will present trials, yes, but also opportunities. Prudent houses will manage to maintain their power, but the skillful will be able to seize it. Retire now to rest, really, for Garllucio at dawn. Oh, that's it. That's the demo. That was actually much shorter than I thought it would be. But yeah, this is obviously very work in progress, very early on, but at least they got the artwork down. It's very similar to the first game. So yeah, if you liked it, I'll link the game in the description below. You can play the demo. I'll even link the first game, Rose of Segunda, so you can play that. You can buy it. I think it's on Steam. I'm pretty sure it's on Steam. You can also buy it at itch.io. It's pretty cheap. It's not a very expensive game at all. So yeah, really nice artwork and pretty great story from what I've understood. And this looks like to be more of the same, which is never a bad thing. stick with what you know. That's how I always looked at it. And yeah, hope you all enjoyed it. And that is the Thorns of War. And I'll see you all next time. Have a good day.